drops, the sound of droplets echoing like soft drumming on rooftops and windows. In the heart of the city, where skyscrapers reached for the heavens and life moved at a merciless pace, a small boy stood alone under a broken umbrella. His name was Daniel, 12 years old, with shoes too thin for the puddles he was stepping through. He had just left the hospital where his mother lay, weak, pale, but still smiling whenever she saw him. Doctors spoke in hushed voices, the kind children weren't meant to hear, but Daniel heard enough. Medicine cost money they didn't have. His father had walked away years ago, and Daniel had become his mother's only hope, though he was just a child. Walking home through the storm, Daniel's eyes caught something unusual. Outside a small antique shop, barely lit, sat an old wooden box with a sign that read, "Take what you need, give what you can." Curious, Daniel stepped closer. Inside the box, hidden under scraps of cloth, was a lantern. It wasn't like the modern electric ones. This lantern was brass, carved with patterns that shimmered when touched by light. It looked fragile, forgotten. Yet when Daniel lifted it, warmth seemed to spread into his fingers. He decided to carry it home. That night, while his mother slept, Daniel lit the lantern with a stub of candle. To his astonishment, the flame inside didn't flicker weakly. It glowed with a golden brilliance that filled the small room, chasing away the shadows, and somehow making the peeling wallpaper and broken furniture feel less lonely. And then something strange happened. A voice, soft and resonant, whispered from the lantern. "The light you carry is the strength you choose to see. Walk with it, and it will guide you." Daniel's eyes widened. He wanted to believe it was his imagination, but the words settled deep in his heart, like seeds ready to grow. The next morning, Daniel rose early. His mother whispered weakly, "Don't worry about me, sweetheart. Just promise me you'll never stop dreaming." He squeezed her hand and promised. From that day, Daniel carried the lantern everywhere. At first, it was just a silent companion. But when he felt like giving up, when hunger gnawed at him, or when the bullies at school mocked his worn-out clothes, the lantern's glow seemed to grow stronger. Each time, the whisper would return. "Keep walking. Even the longest night ends in dawn." One afternoon, while trying to earn coins by carrying groceries, Daniel saw an elderly man struggling to push a cart up a steep road. His arms ached, his stomach rumbled, but something inside told him to help. He put down his own bundle and pushed the cart with all his might until it reached the top. The old man looked at him, eyes brimming with gratitude. "You remind me of my son," he said, pressing a folded bill into Daniel's hand. "Never lose your kindness." Daniel opened his palm, enough money for his mother's medicine. Tears blurred his vision. The lantern in his bag pulsed faintly, as if smiling. Days turned into weeks. Each act of courage, each step of kindness Daniel took, seemed to weave something invisible around him. He began tutoring younger kids in his neighborhood, earning a little. He sang softly to his mother at night, keeping her spirits alive. And always, when despair threatened to crush him, the lantern's golden glow reminded him he was never alone. But life, as always, tested him again. One night, his mother's condition worsened. The doctor said she needed urgent treatment or she might not make it through the week. Daniel sat by her bedside, holding her frail hand, his heart breaking. "Mom," he whispered, "how do I keep believing when everything feels impossible?" His mother smiled faintly. "Because hope, my son, is the lantern inside us. No storm can put it out if we protect it." Her words struck deep. Daniel clutched the lantern and prayed, not for miracles, but for strength. The next morning, he decided to do something bold. He went back to the antique shop where he had found the lantern. Inside, dusty shelves lined the walls, filled with clocks, jewelry, and forgotten relics. The shopkeeper, an old woman with wise eyes, looked at the lantern in Daniel's arms. She gasped softly. "You found it," she said. "That lantern belonged to my grandfather. He believed it carried a blessing, hope itself. it finds those who need it most. Daniel told her about his mother, about their struggles, about how the lantern had given him strength. The old woman listened, her eyes glistening. Then she stood up, walked into the back room, and returned with a small envelope. "This is for you," she said. "Sometimes when we share light, it multiplies." Inside was enough money to cover his mother's treatment. Weeks later, his mother slowly regained her strength. She was not cured, but she could smile again, walk a little, laugh softly with Daniel. Their tiny home, though still poor, seemed brighter than palaces, because it was filled with something far greater than wealth: hope, love, and resilience. Daniel grew into a young man carrying the lessons of the lantern. He studied hard, worked harder, and every time life tested him, he whispered to himself the words he had once heard in the rain: "The light you carry is the strength you choose to see." He never let the lantern's flame die. In fact, he shared it through kindness, through courage, through compassion. And though the brass lantern eventually grew old and dim, Daniel realized the true lantern had always been inside him.